What's up, guys? We're back with another Bandai Tamashii Nations SH Figuarts review, taking a look at another Avengers figure with our Avengers Assemble Thor. So of course we've got Cap, we've got Iron Man, we obviously have to have Thor when they're going back and kind of revisiting some of these older costumes when it comes to the Avengers. And I'm pretty excited to take a look at this guy just because I don't have one of these. So he is new to me, no matter what version it is. We've got him here in a pretty standard Tamashii Nation style box, but it's very much themed to this sort of series that they're doing. So you've got an image of Thor down there in the corner, you've got him in the window, you've got the big Avengers A, there's product shots on both spines of the box, and then in typical fashion, there's a bunch of product shots showcasing how he can move, the soft goods cape, and then a lot of the accessories that this guy comes with on the backside. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Avengers Assemble Thor. This is probably my most anticipated, I guess, of this bunch of new MCU Figuarts. It's mostly because I just like Thor, and I like the Thor designs in the MCU, so I'm pretty interested in the overall look. I mean, I like his looks pretty much throughout. So it's not an instance of me not being the biggest fan of this suit. It's of course an older suit, but I do like it, and I think we've got a pretty cool figure here. He is very similar to Captain America in some ways. He's a little bit different, but he's also very similar. They do feel like they are kind of cut from the same cloth almost. So let's get started, see what he can do, see how he moves around. This is where he is, similar to Cap mostly. So we've got a head that can look up a decent bit. He mostly kind of, sort of kicks back. The neck is of course independently articulated, so it does allow the head to move a little bit further back, which does help because he's got that big mane of hair, really. We've got a head that can look down really far. The tilt side to side is a little bit different here. He can't tilt as far to his right, your left, as he can to his left. It's slight, but he has hair that hangs down the side of his head, so it does sort of hit, because it's two different pieces, basically. You can rotate, but he does not really go all the way around, because there's just so much stuff there. There's the cape, the varying layers of his golden locks, so it just kind of gets in the way. But he looks about that far to the side. The arms go out at the shoulders. They, of course, rotate in that socket. It is a drop-down joint, so he drops down a little bit. There is a butterfly joint here, but it doesn't really do anything because of the armor, so it's not going to be all that helpful, but it does shimmy him a little bit. He does not have a bicep swivel. He's got a single jointed elbow, gives you better than 90, but this guy swivels. So this is one of the big things that's different from Cap. It's a different joint style, so it's able to swivel just based on its construction, whereas Cap's joint there just really can't because of how that elbow is designed. He does have the ball hinge wrist, so he's got hinge up and down, and then you've got rotation. He's got a diaphragm cut. He does have, a very specific set of armor on the chest, so it does prevent him from moving, super far. So he goes backwards about that far at the diaphragm. He goes forward about that far. Tilt is kind of limited, and then you do have a little limited twist there as well. The waist, of course, can go backwards, so it kicks him back even further. Kicks him that far forward overall, and then it doesn't really add anything to the tilt, but it does move a little bit as far as rotation as well, so you can start to shimmy him a little bit further to the side. The legs are drop downs, so you can kick those legs down, and then they go out. They, of course, will kick forward. They will kick backwards if you drop them down. If not, he kind of hits his own butt right away. And then you can shimmy up there at that thigh. You've got your double jointed knees, but because of his sort of boot design and the thigh nature, it's really more like a single than anything else. And then you've got rotation down at the ankles, but he has these little collar pieces basically that sit around the boots, so it really locks him down. You've got tilt up and down a little bit of rocker, and then you do have the rotation, but you've also got your toe hinge, which is pretty normal for a Figuart. So he's pretty well articulated. He does kind of suffer in some ways because of his design, just because of the armor and then the overall structure of his suit. Like those boot cuffs in particular really do lock down his ankles. But otherwise, he is fairly easy to pose. Now, when it comes to the aesthetics, this is This is ultimately where I'm most interested with this figure because, well, like I said, I like Thor in the MCU, and generally speaking, I'm a big fan of pretty much all his looks. So I'm just invested in wanting to like this one right out of the gate because I like this suit. And I think it translates pretty well here. There are a lot of varying finishes. There's a lot of metallic on this guy because, of course, he has that sort of scale armor all over his arms. He's got tons of metal plating on the chest. And we get a soft goods cape to boot. So, you know, that's kind of a plus right from the start. So let's see what he's got here because he does have a pretty unique design. I mean, this is very much a take on, of course, the classic Thor look with the sort of discs that sit on the chest, but it's very much a more, I don't really know, real world is probably not the best way to describe it because obviously that still doesn't apply here, but a more modernized sort of real world take on it. And a lot of my interest with this one lies in just the fact that he has so much kind of metal on him. And obviously it's not metal, but the metallics used on this guy just pop. They look fantastic, especially when you blast them with lights. Now, there's a lot of varying levels of silver and kind of like a gunmetal color for the belt, for all of the armor plating on the chest. And then, of course, you've got, you know, all this like mail armor that runs down his arms, which just looks fantastic. And then you've got the actual gauntlets on there, which are also just as lustrous, just as bright, and it all really complements the red and the blue aspects of his suit. The reds are kind of muddled because they are sitting atop the blue, but that navy blue really works alongside this silver, and there's a ton of sculpt all over it. All these lines are all sculpted in. All of that mail armor that runs down the arms is all sculpted. It's not just painted. There is paint in those lines, but he is fully sculpted from head to toe. So there's a lot of depth to this suit in particular, especially on the chest, because it looks like these plates kind of, you know, crisscross over top each other as well. And I think it's all really handled nicely here. Even the shin guards down here have texture on them, and the knee pads have texture on them. So it complements kind of the sleek nature of the undersuit, especially like the thighs and the upper legs, because that's all kind of bare by comparison. So he's really covered in a lot of metal and a lot of armor up top and down at the feet, but then he's just sort of a normal suit in the midsection, sort of. And then, of course, he's got the soft goods cape, which I do really like. It's got the pleats all up on the collar area and the shoulders, so it very much looks like it's sort of tucked in to the actual armor itself. And then, of course, sitting underneath his neck, there is a wire that runs all the way through it. So you've got a wire up top, and then you've got a wire on the backside, so you can kind of, kick it out a little bit or have it billowing behind him to some degree. Obviously, take more time to do it, and it'll make it look a lot nicer. But there is a lot of posing potential with this, just to have it kicked up behind him, have it flowing. It's not too big. It's certainly not too small. I think it's sized pretty appropriately, and the red is really striking. It's a lot brighter and more vibrant than what's on his pants. It more actually is in line with what's under his gauntlets, so more fabric that would actually be on the character itself. So I'm pretty happy that we've got the soft goods cape here. It very much kind of goes in line with, say, the Doctor Strange figure that I took a look at not too long ago, where that thing was a huge integral part of making that figure a lot more fun. And I think the same thing can be said for this one here. He is topped off with a pretty decent head sculpt as well. I do think that the likeness to Chris Hemsworth is pretty well done here. It is lost in some areas depending on how you've got him kind of posed or what angle you're looking at. But I think for the most part, they've done a pretty good job with the likeness here. Photo printing is nicely done. I'm not the biggest fan of the hair sculpt on this guy, all things considered. I think that might be the weakest area of the head sculpt. It just sort of looks like it's sitting on his head rather than actually being a part of him. The paintwork is okay, but I think it looks kind of goopy in some respects as well. So it's a decent head sculpt. I think the face and likeness are pretty well done, but the hair is leaving a little bit to be desired for me. Now, as far as accessories goes, Thor has a pretty decent amount. It's not tons, especially in comparison to, say, the Cap that I've recently looked at, and then also the Iron Man that's coming out around the same time as these figures. But I think he has it where it counts. There's a couple of things here in particular that I'm really happy with. To start with, we do get an extra face. It's not a head sculpt, it's just a faceplate. And this is one of those ones that we see every now and again with MCU Figuarts, where it's just the character's same head sculpt, same expression, but he's looking slightly to one side. So this head sculpt is looking to his right. That's pretty much it. It's the exact same face. I think the likeness is still very much there in many respects. And then, of course, if you want him looking that way, kind of in a vanilla pose almost, it will help with some sort of posing, but it's still kind of an odd choice in many respects to me. We do get some extra hands with this guy. We get a set of sort of relaxed hands. We get 2 Mjolnir gripping hands, one that is just a gripping hand, one that has the actual wrapped around his hand itself, and then you get a set of open palm splayed finger hands. We do get the aforementioned Mjolnir as well. So this is done up in kind of the same color that we're seeing on his suit. There is a lot of detail, actually etched into the edges of Mjolnir, and then you've got the handle with the gripping piece, the little wrap down here. Mjolnir does come off of the handle because you've got this one. So we've also got a Thunderbolt effect piece that's attached to another Mjolnir here, which I really do like. I'm always for getting effect parts with just about anything, and of course getting a lightning effect for Thor is of course very, very fitting, obviously, so I do like that. Some translucent kind of light pale blue for that one. And then the last thing that we get is a bit of a doozy, honestly. This is probably one of my favorite pieces with this figure, is we get a twirling Mjolnir effect piece. So you've got a little grip here that you can pop into his hand, and then of course it looks like he's holding onto the wrap at the bottom, swinging Mjolnir around. So it's done up in kind of like a smoky color. So it's got a little bit of gray and some black in it as it gets closer or further to the hammer itself. And this thing's really cool. I mean, it makes for an imposing display on your shelf. It's also really well done. It very much looks like it's in motion. And of course you can have it, swinging over his head, or just have it swinging at his side. And it's nicely done. I'm really happy with this. This is easily my favorite thing in this entire set. It's a really cool idea, and I think it's executed pretty nicely here as well. So yeah, he doesn't have a ton of stuff like I mentioned, but I think he has it where it counts. He has enough hands, and then he's got varying options when it comes to Mjolnir that pretty much fits anything you might need. So yeah, I think Thor's pretty solid. Again, he's among my favorites when it comes to MCU stuff, so I was pretty interested and excited for this one to begin with. But I think there's a lot going on here. He moves pretty well. He's about as hindered in some ways as Captain America, but he's also got a little bit of a bonus with those movable elbows, movable forearms, which definitely helps this guy move and just be a little more dynamic. I think his suit design is really well implemented here. Colors pop. He's got nice shiny metallics all over him. Really dig the soft goods cape. And like I said, he comes with some really solid accessories, despite the fact that it may not be tremendous in number. I think he's got a lot of substance in just a handful of those accessories. All of the various Mjolnir pieces really do it for me. So that's going to do it for this look at the SH Figuarts Avengers Assemble Thor. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.